Well, Mike, first of all, let's take a look at the starting lineups today. As you mentioned, for Salisbury, they've got Anna Hackett at point guard. She is a senior, and Sarah Sipe was the other one you mentioned. She is also a senior guard. And Melanie Mosniak is a forward. She is, again, a senior. Another senior starting is Courtney McManus, and she is a guard. And Kathy Urbanaz is a junior forward. But there's 4 of the seniors starting.
And they all started last year, too. So this is kind of a reverse of what York was doing last year when having 4 seniors and 1 junior start, and all those girls played together for a long, long time. That's why Salisbury's in the position that they are now.
Well, you had talked about Sipe and Hackett. What makes them so tough?
They can handle the ball. They can shoot. They can drive. They play great defense. They are just complete players, and they've been at Salisbury for the last 3 years and have done it from freshman year up to now.
And the starting 5 for Southern Virginia add 1 guard slot, the freshman Marissa Belliston. Another guard will be the sophomore Morgan Hardvigson, their best outside shooting threat for Southern Virginia. And then up front, Melinda Borum, Ann Kuroki, and Crystal Cleveland. And both for the men's and the women's. Won't go into a whole lot of details, Mike, but obviously the roster is here in early January, not quite the same as we saw a month ago in early December.
No, on the women's side, there's 2 notable people missing. We have Shannon Ramito, who will be out with surgery, and we have Shelby Windsor, who had some academic things that she has to take care of. And we'll talk about the men's probably right before the men's game.
Although one of those we got to talk about really quick, Preston Eaton. Obviously, that's a huge loss for the men.
Yeah, he lost an appeal to the NCAA. There's a 10-semester rule, which means you have to get your eligibility in within 10 semesters of you being in school. And he had to make a hard decision of whether he's going to do his semester last semester or this semester, and hope that the appeal came through with the NCAA. It didn't come through, so Preston Eaton will be out, and it's going to leave a huge void for the men's team.
Mike, really quick, how about some of the keys here for the women as they try to take on arguably maybe the toughest team they're going to face all season?
Control the tempo and control the ball. Don't try to do things that they can't do, and let the game come to them and not try to force the action.
It's going to be Mosniak and Crystal Cleveland jumping center as the Knights play their first game in 4 weeks, and they get the opening tip. And Hartvigsen right off the bat misses a shot inside.
And that's
good look there.
That's just some of the rust, again, trying to get your legs back under you. But there you have Sipe. She is the leading, second leading scorer, but also the leading rebounder for the Seagulls.
So what's the biggest concern as Sipe fires outside and misses, but there is Hackett getting the rebound and the offensive stick back to put Salisbury on the board. Really quick, Mike, what's the biggest concern? Is it shaking off the rustiness, or is it maybe later in the game, lack of stamina for the Knights?
I think it's just going to be shaking off the rustiness of gameplay. They've been working really hard, and I know when they went home, I've talked to some of them, they did a lot of running and stuff, so it's not going to be an issue of being out of shape. It's going to be the issue of game conditioning.
Melinda Boren was able to hit on one end, but Anna Hackett fires a 3 on the other end. And quickly, it's a 2-pointer ruled by the referees, but it's now a 4-2 Salisbury lead as Hackett hits the shot from outside. Knights work it across the pressure and get it across the timeline. So we see Salisbury, Mike, throwing up some defensive pressure. Nice pass to Crystal Cleveland, lays it up and in.
Yeah, and that's what Salisbury wants to do is they put the pressure on, not to really steal the ball, but to cause time to go off the clock.
What do you see the Knights doing defensively, not just in this contest, but really throughout January? Because in November and December, we saw a lot of defensive pressure from the Knights, and it resulted in a lot of turnovers the other way for the opposition.
They've been working on the zone, and I think we're going to see a little bit more zone from the Knights.
Knights are able to steal the ball back after losing it. Kuroki nearly walked, gets it over to Hartvigsen, and she puts the Knights on top for the first time today, 6-4.
That was a great look inside by Ann, a little shot fake, and being able to find Morgan wide open underneath the basket.
And a good play by Belliston to steal the ball back after the Knights had lost it. Hackett is double teamed. Sipe baseline, weaving through traffic. It'll be a long 3-pointer by McManus, no good, but an offensive rebound by Mosniak or Albernaz. Over to Hackett, baseline shot, no good. Tipped out of bounds. Last touch by Salisbury. So it is Knights basketball with a 2-point lead.
And I think this zone that the Knights are playing has really caught Salisbury by surprise.
And the Knights have a 2-point lead in the ball here. Belliston driving to the right, shoots a jumper off the glass, no good. And one shot only for the Knights. Boy, Kathy Overnaws is a really big girl. She's like 5'8", but looks a lot bigger than that on listed 5'8" on the roster. Hackett, three-pointer, rims out. Nice rebound by Hartvigsen. Kuroki gives up the dribble, down low to Boren. Nice push inside by Melinda Boren, and suddenly the Knights have a 4-point lead.
And Melinda was able to find her defensive player there with her shoulder and then go straight up after she made the contact. Great play.
She loves to back her way in, and there's a three-pointer by Sipe, up and good from outside. Sipe and Hackett, as you mentioned, they can dribble the ball and handle it pretty cleanly, but they can also shoot from outside. Hackett has an outside jumper, and Sipe hitting a three-pointer there.
Yeah, they're tough to guard if you come up too hard and heavy.
Cleveland down low, missed the shot, got her own rebound, puts it up and in.
And there's Crystal just trying to pad her stats with some extra offensive rebounds, but great little high-low by the Knights.
That's 2 times, though. Cleveland and Hartvigsen have missed easy shots inside, but that time it was Cleveland getting the rebound. Sipe missing a 3, rebound Knights. Here come the Knights with a 3-point lead in the basketball. Kuroki over to Belliston. Nice pass to Boren. Shot good. 5-point lead. Boy, it didn't look like Salisbury's coaches are very thrilled about the way their team early on here, Mike, are playing defense.
No, it's a lot of easy touches in the paint for the Knights, which is great for the Knights, but it's murder on the Salisbury defense.
Mosniak left her shot short, got her own rebound, lost the ball, picked up by Boren. Fast break Knights. Melinda doesn't really have the numbers, goes all the way, lays it up and in. Hackett is called for a block, and we've got a chance at a 3-point play.
And that's
7-point lead.
That's where Melinda can really be a difference maker, is in the open floor. If she grabs the rebound, she can start the fast break, as she's been able to handle the ball in high school and also in college. But then that little floater over toward the side avoids the contact, going straight in, causes the contact on the side for the 3-point play.
Now, timeout taken with a 7-point lead. Now, Southern Virginia, how surprised are you? The Knights have the 7-point lead with obviously a long way to go in the first half.
Well, not a lot. There's a lot of travel that goes into this, and Salisbury came down late last night, again, trying to get off the bus. You're not sleeping in your own bed. The travel schedule is something that you have to learn to try to live with and play with, and the Knights have been here practicing twice a day for the last week. A lot of good things are going on. I've talked to some of the girls, and they felt really good about coming into the second part of the season, which is the most important part of the season. And this is a great way for them to play and to start out this part of the semester.
You hope that they were able to shake off that last loss, that 1-point loss to Wesley when they made that great comeback and almost came all the way back from being behind against Wesley and ended up losing that game by 1 point on December the 6th.
Well, the 2 big keys that as Melinda shoots the free throw, 2 big keys is we haven't turned the ball over or haven't been giving up layups off of fast breaks. And if you can do that, then – and just as I speak.
Well, they had that pressure, which we saw in November and December, and it results in an easy layup the other way for Salisbury. So they don't have the pressure, and they play pretty good defense. They put the pressure on, hoping to cause a turnover for Salisbury, and it ends up being an easy layup. And now Salisbury gets it on the Southern Virginia turnover. Sipe the other way, lays it up, no good, fouled by Kuroki. Sipe will go to the foul line, and she'll shoot 2.
And Coach Roberts will have to really think twice about trying to pressure Salisbury, because, as I said, Hackett and Sipe, you can't pressure them. They're going to find the openings, and again, give up layups on the Knights' end is not a good thing.
And Sipe's foul shot is up and in to make it a 4-point ball game. Biggest lead so far for Southern Virginia, 7 points at 14-7. And Sipe hits both foul shots to close the gap to 3. Jamila Gambi, first substitution of the game along with Afatazi. Devani Afatazi and Gambi, substitutions off the bench as the Knights hold on to a 3-point lead. Belliston almost lost it, gives up the dribble, gives it over to Boren. Boren a charge down the lane, and she threw a pass blindly, and it's picked off by Salisbury. Mosniak has it. She's double teamed and tied up. Good defense by the Knights after the turnover.
That was nice jamming of the rebounder, and Salisbury wasn't coming back to the ball.
But the possession arrow favors Salisbury, so it's still Seagulls basketball. Knights go with that backcourt pressure. McManus breaks it. Ahead to Mosniak.
Now with only about 10 seconds on the shot clock, it's a good thing for the Knights. Just got to play solid defense.
See who Salisbury goes to here with the shot clock. It'll be Mosniak with a jump shot outside. And a 6-0 run for Salisbury. They were down by 7, now only down by 1.
And that's just the veteran nature of Salisbury. And again, the Knights need to start going back inside, moving the ball as they go back inside, though, not just trying to make the first entry pass.
Not a great pass into Boren. Boren lost it. Hackett all the way. She lays it up, misses. Rebound, Gamby. So the Knights still have that 1-point lead. Now they got a fast break. It goes ahead to Boren. Boren is fouled from behind. Non-shooting foul. And probably a good foul by Salisbury, because without that foul, it might have been a layup for Melinda Boren.
Yeah, that was a nice play by Julia McLaughlin. Again, only the second team foul. Not a lot of fouls called in this game. Again, not a lot of balls going toward the basket to cause any fouls.
And Lauren Rothfeld checks into the game now for Salisbury. Pass inbounds, knocked away by the Seagulls. They get the steal. It is Sipe against Belliston. Sipe misses the layup. Good defense by Belliston, not the foul. Rebound Knights. Gamby the other way on a 1-on-5 and misses the layup shot.
And this is
the other way, it's an easy layup for Sipe of Salisbury. And she hits to put the Seagulls back on top 15-14.
And that's the problem when you attack and you don't have the numbers. If you miss, there's going to be some problems going down the other end.
It was interesting, not only the 1-on-4 and the miss, but after the 1-on-4, it was an easy fast break the other way.
Yeah, the Knights got caught kind of just
near
watching.
Midcourt, I guess.
Just caught watching at midcourt, and then the ball got past them.
So now it's a 1-point lead for Salisbury. Nice behind-the-back dribble by Hackett. Over to Mosniak. Shot no good. Knights having a hard time grabbing some defensive rebounds. Cleveland finally corrals that one. Knights can still retake the lead here if they can get a basket. Trailing by 1. It's been an 8-0 run for Salisbury after they trailed by 7. Kuroki passes over to Gamby. Went right by Crystal Cleveland's head. Gamby to Afatazi. Down low, Crystal. Spins. Nice spin move. Misses the shot. Couldn't get her own rebound. Tries to save it. And it's going to be knocked out of bounds. Last touch by Crystal. So it's Salisbury basketball.
And Crystal just got herself caught a little bit too far up underneath the basket on that spin. When she spins, she needs to get to the middle of the floor and not going into the basket.
So a 12:44 left in this first half, Mike. 15-14. Knights now trail by 1 after they were on top 14-7 in this basketball game.
Well, again, I think the defense of the Knights, when they came out in that zone, really caught Salisbury by surprise because they've never played it before. And then the pressure that we've seen the Knights put on people and give up layups wasn't happening at the very beginning. The substitutions came in, and then all of a sudden 2 or 3 layups going to the basket on the other end kind of swung momentum back to Salisbury.
Do you expect the Knights to continue with that zone because they've tried to put the pressure on and it's resulted in some easy layups the other way for Salisbury?
I would go back and play just a regular man-to-man and zone and keep mixing and matching there. Again, with Hackett and Sipe, I don't know how you can really try to press this team.
Well, the Knights trail by 1. Salisbury's got the basketball. Sipe easily breaks the pressure. Pass ahead to Hobbs. She hits. She is fouled by Crystal Cleveland. So Alicia Hobbs just into the ballgame off the bench. Hits on a fast break attempt. And it's now a 3-point lead for Salisbury and a chance at a 3-point play for the Seagulls.
And you notice how Salisbury tries to get the ball to Sipe in the middle of the floor. Once the ball's in the middle of the floor against any kind of full court press, the press is dead and you have to sprint back in order to keep the ball from getting into the lane.
Now you don't see Sipe and Hackett really committing too many turnovers. As Hobbs hits the foul shot, and suddenly it is now a 4-point lead for Salisbury, an 11-0 run for the Seagulls. Let's see if the Knights can respond. Belliston with a drive, tried to draw the contact, no foul call. Another easy sprint layup for Sipe, and she makes it a 20-14 lead. And now, Mike, it is a 13-0 run for Salisbury.
And there you saw the way that Sipe and Hackett worked together. Hackett was going in trying to guard Missy as she was going to the basket. Sipe started to leak out and as soon as she saw that the rebound was held, sprinted toward the other end of the floor and the long pass ahead for the layup.
Then it looked like Belliston was more hoping to get the contact and go to the foul line than actually thinking she was going to be able to nail that shot.
Yeah, but if Missy's going to do that, which she has great driving potential, she's going to have to go in toward the defender instead of trying to lean back and not hope that the shot doesn't get blocked. If you've never gotten your shot blocked playing basketball, you never played basketball before. So go into the shot blocker, create that contact, and then the referees will give you the foul.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to get the contact, you got to go in, not out.
That's right.
So the Knights trail here by 4. Let's see if they can snap this 13-0 run by Salisbury. Hartvigsson, she was able to get into the defender and draw some contact, and she will go to the foul line for 2. And just a perfect example right there. Instead of trying to fade towards the baseline away from the defender to try to hit the shot, she went backwards into the defender and got the contact call.
Yeah, Morgan felt the sipe on her shoulder and leaned over into her, but the way she got there was a great shot fake first.
And the first shot is good, so that snaps that big run by Salisbury of 13-0.
And it looks like with Crystal and Melinda going toward the back, there's going to be a press on. And again, if Salisbury gets the ball to the middle of the floor to Sarah Sipe, they're going to have to sprint back on defense.
Pressure after the made free throw and a steal by Crystal Cleveland. Nice anticipation by Crystal, but a Belliston pass is picked right off by Salisbury. So their game clock never started. They're going to have to run, I think, 6 seconds off. Boy, it was a great steal by Crystal, but then Belliston threw it away just in return.
Yeah, it was good anticipation by Crystal on that.
Sipe gets it right in the middle of court, goes up court in a hurry, and then dribbling off the leg is McLaughlin. Otherwise, that might have been an easy 2 for Salisbury. Now the Knights come right back, trailing by 4. Hartvigsson, baseline, gives up the dribble inside to Crystal Cleveland. Fouled from behind by Hobbs. Another team foul on Salisbury. That's their 4th.
And that's where you want to see Crystal burying her man in the paint. Anytime she can post up in the paint, grab a piece of the paint, the Knights have to do a great job of trying to locate her and give her the ball into her numbers.
McManus checks back in for Salisbury. 4-point lead for the Seagulls. Outside Boren. Jump shot good. 2-pointer makes it 20-18. Nice run by the Knights here. Little 4-0 run.
It looks like the break did Melinda a little bit of good as she's been burying all kinds of shots today.
Looks like the Knights go back into that zone, and it's a jump shot by Rothfeld outside. No good. And the rebound, Crystal Cleveland's got it. Knights can take the lead with a 3. And ahead, the pass comes to Conger. Conger outside to Belliston. Boy, Larissa did a great job making sure that didn't go out of bounds.
And Larissa's got all kinds of athletic ability, and she's just working her way back into shape after going on a year-and-a-half mission for the LDS Church.
Hartvigson's pass picked up by McLaughlin. Turnover Knights. Southern Virginia only down by 2 here as we near the first half of the first half. And it's going to be Hackett with a jump shot outside. She can't hit. Rebound inside Hobbs. Good for Salisbury to make it a 4-point lead.
And I think the zone's doing what it wants to do, is making them shoot from the outside. Now the Knights just have to finish off the defense by securing that defensive rebound.
Yeah, that's the other thing. There's a lot of big bodies inside for Salisbury as Hartvigsson on a drive had her shot blocked. No foul call. Ball out of bounds. Still Knights basketball with 15 on the shot clock. Albornoz, Hobbs, McLaughlin, Mosniak, and McManus, all pretty big women in there for the Southern Virginia Knights to contend with when it comes to rebounds. Hartvigson's a wild inbounds pass picked up by Hackett. Fast break, Seagulls. Hackett to Rothfeld, lays it up and in.
And when you're talking about big bodies, you're talking about muscular bodies too. Especially with the Seagulls know how to use their hips to
not necessarily
position.
Tall. They're all obviously under 5'9" here, Mike, but pretty well built and pretty strong. Another turnover for the Knights. Rothfeld, foul line. Outside the pass comes to McManus, and she can't hit a 3. But Hartvigsson is able to track down the rebound. Knights down by 6 with the ball. You know, Mike, when you're playing a team as experienced like Salisbury, you just can't afford turnovers, and the Knights have had a few here in the first half.
Yeah, those will kill you.
There's another turnover. Pass inside. Hartvigsen trying to get it down low, but it's stolen away by McLaughlin, and she hits the layup on the other end.
And now the Knights are starting to telegraph their passes. They want to get the ball inside.
Rothfeld with the steal in the backcourt. Over to Hackett, 2-on-2. Hackett shoots, misses, rebound, up and no good by Albernaz, and the rebound finally pulled away by the Knights.
Yeah, the Knights want to get the ball inside, but they're telegraphing their passes. They want to have to move the ball from one side of the floor to the other, then make the entry pass.
Here's Afatazi, and her shot was blocked. Nice block by Salisbury. Fast break. Hackett all the way, lays it up and in, and she was fouled. Not a smart foul when you got somebody like Hackett who's almost got an easy layup. You don't, as you mentioned before, I think, Mike, either you just let them go and don't contest it, or if you're going to foul, make sure they don't get the shot off.
Yeah, that was just a lackadaisical little bump by Larissa. She didn't feel like it was a foul, but the referee's going to call that anytime they see bodies going into each other, especially on a layup.
So Hackett will try to make it an 11-point lead. And she hits. And it's 29-18 Salisbury after they trailed 14-7. They are on a 22-4 run. Hackett, not the biggest one. Point guard, 5'4", but she gets the job done.
She gets that, and she's quick. You'll notice that anytime Salisbury secures the rebound, she is looking to go, go, go.
Quick and experienced, and it's an 11-point lead right now. The Knights really need a basket here to hang into this basketball game. As Valerie Arkansas checks in for the first time today. And she passes down low, and that pass is picked up by Salisbury. Sipes got it, charging right through the Knights defense all the way, tries to get the layup off, can't. And the ball's knocked out of bounds, last touched by the Knights. You mentioned it, Mike. Sipe is so dangerous when she's in the middle of the court, basically.
Yeah, again, Sipe has the ball. She has the mentality of she's going to attack, attack, attack. I was really surprised she didn't pass the ball off on that possession. She had someone on the wing looking at her, and that was one of those things where she made up her mind she's going to the basket.
So it's a 22-4 run right now for Salisbury. They trailed at one point in this first half, 14-7, and now on top, 29-18.
And like you said, that's the experience of Salisbury. They didn't panic, and they just kept on playing the game. Now they did make a couple adjustments that zone caught them by surprise. But again, the zone by the Knights is not bad. It's doing its job by making them shoot on the outside. The Knights just have to finish off that defensive rebound and finish off the play.
Yeah, the Knights have given up, as we saw back in November, December, a few fast break layups. But their problem, as you mentioned, telegraphing those passes, they have had just too many turnovers in their half-court offense.
Well, as experienced as the Seagulls are, they're reading the young players' eyes of the Knights. And, again, if you look at the pass and don't make it right away, you cannot throw it to that person at all.
And it's 10 turnovers already for the Knights here in this first half, only 5 turnovers for Salisbury.
Yeah, and like you said, when you're playing someone this experienced and ranked in the top 20 in NCAA, you cannot afford to have those type of turnovers.
Yeah, the Knights are not shooting the ball that badly, 8 of 18 for 44%. Only out-rebounded by Salisbury 15-11. It's been those 10 turnovers.
Yeah, and again, if you look at the offensive rebounds that the Salisbury's gotten, that's 6 offensive rebounds that have turned into points for them.
And another stat that leaps out is Salisbury's taken 8 three-point shot attempts, now number 9, which hits the side of the backboard, and no three-point attempts so far for SVU.
Yeah, for some reason, it's just not a great three-point shooting team that the Knights have. But again, that zone is very tempting if you play it and inviting people to shoot the threes. As long as they don't make them, that's playing right into your hands as long as you can finish off that defensive rebound.
And Albernaz hits the foul shot, the first one. She's 5, or that's her first foul shot of the ball game, and the second one is good. And now Salisbury as a team is 6 for 6 from the foul line.
And Salisbury's not a great three-point shooting team either. They only shoot 29% from the three-point line on the season.
Here's a shot by Boren, no good. Afatazi tries to battle for the rebound. It's pulled away. Afatazi fouls the Salisbury player in the backcourt, Sipe.
And again, that's one of those issues. If Sipe or Hackett had the ball in their hand on a rebound and they're 94 feet away from the basket, there's no reason to foul.
Right.
That's just going to get them to the 1-and-1 a lot quicker.
Especially when they had the ball clean and it was basically a hook foul there. 13-point lead for the Seagulls. Kathy Aristrand's into the game for the first time for Salisbury. Here's a three-pointer. Outside, no good. Another three-point miss for Salisbury. Knights have the rebound, down by 13. I think Salisbury now 1 of 10 from three-point range. You mentioned they're not very good from three-point range, but they keep firing here in the first half.
Well, again, it's really hard to not shoot an open shot. But if it's not your shot, you can't take it. You have to have more discipline.
And that time, Kuroki threw it away on a cross-court pass, and Sipe was able to get that ball to roll home on the layup attempt. And now it's a 15-point lead for Salisbury. Salisbury came in 3-0 in the Capital Conference, 9-1 on the season overall.
And again, they're taking advantage of the three freshmen that are out there on the floor. Gamby, Tavani, and Valerie Arkansas, just reading their eyes and getting into the passing lanes.
Knights will make some substitutions, and now the 5 on the floor: Conger, Hartvigsen, Belliston, Cleveland, and Boren for the Knights. Inbounds pass to Boren. Double team, fires the 5-footer and hits. Melinda thought, babe, I'm not going to get a better look than this.
Yeah, and the Seagulls backed off on her, gave her some room to shoot, and she took advantage of it.
33-20. Salisbury still on a big run since being down 14-7. And with 6:50 to go, the Knights are trying to stay in this basketball game. Sipe can't hit from outside. Cleveland tries to grab the rebound. I think she touched it last, so it's going to be Salisbury basketball.
And again, playing the zone is great to try to force things away from the basket, but rebounding out of it, you have to be very disciplined and talk a little bit more than you would on a man-to-man.
Inbounds pass to Sipe. Nice no-look pass to McManus, but she can't hit. Aristian got the rebound. Sipe's open for a 3, and she nails it.
Called it a 2 there.
Yep, called it a 2, 35-20, 15-point lead now for Salisbury, biggest lead of the ball game.
Jim, if you'll notice, there's a lot of Seagulls go to the backside of the offensive rebounds, and that's where all the shots are coming off of. That's where they're getting all their offensive rebounds.
Which might explain why they're not shy about firing those threes. They got a good feeling if they miss, they're going to have a rebound.
Yeah, that's a lot of trust in your teammates. Go ahead and shoot. I'll get it if you miss.
And the Knights, in addition to the turnovers, Mike, again, missing a lot of shots here in the last 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, this is where they don't have to be really disciplined in running their offensive sets, or else the Seagulls can extend this lead and just run away from them.
It's a 15-point lead right now for Salisbury. They trailed 14-7 in this basketball game. And they've gone on to a 28-6 run as Hackett right through the Southern Virginia defense for the easy layup.
And it looked like the Seagulls were running a little flex action there and got Hackett up at the elbow, and she did the rest on her own.
That is a 30-6 run now, Mike, by the Seagulls. And there's Hobbs over the back of Cleveland, picking up the foul. That's just the 15th foul, though, for Salisbury.
And that's what the Seagulls can do to you. They're that experienced and that good, and Coach Lewandowski has really done a great job of bringing these young ladies along for the last 2 or 3 years to where they are now.
As you mentioned, they basically play 8 or 9 players, and that's about it. Here's Conger open for the jump shot, can't hit. Boren tries to go over the back and knocks the ball out of bounds. It is Salisbury basketball with 5:34 to go.
It was good to see Melinda going in there for the rebound, though. There was no other white shirt in the lane at that time when the ball was shot.
It's played so well in the opening minutes to get a 14-7 lead, but Salisbury took that timeout when it was 14-7, Mike, and they have been on a roll since as the outside jumper is no good by the Seagulls. Rebound picked out of the air by Belliston. She tries to go for the fast break. Marissa all the way, and it's going to be called for a charge. Hackett, they're going to say, had position.
Yeah, Hackett got there, and Missy will learn that when she gets someone that deep into the lane, just to go straight up and bank the shot off the rebound, off the backboard.
So Belliston picks up her first foul. And now the Knights try to work it with the defense, trying to get a turnover. And Belliston is called for another foul. Bumping foul near midcourt.
Yeah, you can hit them once and touch them once, and if you get them again, they have to call it. That's just the new rules that they came up with in the last year.
And that's quickly her second foul. 16 fouls now for the Knights. Knights trying to stay in this basketball game. Here's Albornoz with a jump shot. No good. Tip outside. Rebound, Crystal Cleveland. See if the Knights can score on this trip down by 17. Boren's pass. Cleveland tries to grab it. Hackett knocks it out of bounds. Knights have 19 on the shot clock.
And that pass is there, yes, on the first ball reversal, but on the second ball reversal, it would be so much more wide open. And if the Knights would just go from one side of the floor to the other and then look to attack on the inside, they'd find themselves getting the shots that they got in those first 5 minutes of the game.
And Hartvigsen throws it into the backcourt. Belliston's able to chase it down after Sipe touched it. That was almost a 5-second call. Belliston over to Hartvigsen, fires the jump shot and left it short of the three-point attempt. And the rebound comes away to Salisbury, and Boren fouled Hackett, no foul call. Over to the right side, jump shot is up and in by Perno. Her first basket today, 39-20. Salisbury now by 19. Pass inside to Cleveland. She wasn't expecting that pass, couldn't handle it. Had a defender in front, and the defender in behind was able to grab the ball. Hackett, and layup is up and in by McLaughlin.
And you see that it's almost a 3-on-2 fast break drill now for the Seagulls. The Knights will have to slow down a little bit. Slow down a little bit.
Another turnover. McLaughlin over to Sipe, back to McLaughlin. This is just like clockwork for Salisbury. Turnover, and within a couple of seconds of the turnover, Mike, an easy layup the other way.
Yeah, the Knights they need to work the clock, work the shot clock down to under 10, and then they will find openings that are there that'll be the easy passes.
And Conger throws it over the head of Cleveland and out of bounds.
And this is what happens when you have a young team. The score starts to extend, and they try to do too much. And we talked about at the very beginning, you asked, what do the Knights need to do? And we said, let the game come to them.
Right.
And they did that in the first 5 minutes. Now they're starting to force things.
It's a 36-6 run, Mike. 43-20. It was 14-7. So a 36-6 run after the Knights had a 7-point lead. They've been outscored by 30.
And again, I don't want to.
That's not so much. Salisbury obviously just picked it up after they trailed by 7. I'm not sure it's so much what Salisbury's been doing as was just the mistakes made by the Knights.
And it's a combination of both. But the layups that the Knights are giving up surely starts to fuel the Seagulls.
Good defense by Belliston to grab the ball from Rothfeld and hold on for the jump ball possession arrow, which favors the Knights. So they're down by 23. And they have the basketball. And we're under 3 minutes to go till halftime. DMB trying to pass it down low. Another turnover.
Again, first pass, first side. You can't.
Oh, look at that dribble by Hackett. Over to Albornoz. Behind the back dribble by Hackett in traffic. You don't teach that, do you?
Well, I've had the fortune of watching Miss Hackett develop over the last 4 years, and I can tell you, her freshman year she couldn't do that.
Correct. Yeah. Nice three-pointer by the Knights to try to get a little closer here, down by 22 now at 45-23. Knights still playing with a lot of energy defensively. Trying to force a turnover, trying to get this thing under 20 by halftime. And Hackett fires and hits.
And that would be the goal, is to get it down to 20 or less in the next 2 minutes.
Afatazi's got it out top. She dribbles to the left side, fires a wild shot, no good, but she got hacked, and Devontae will go to the foul line. When you look at Salisbury, maybe we'll talk more about this in the second half, but how far can this team go if they continue on this kind of roll when you talk about the national tournament?
Well, you're looking at them getting at least into the Sweet 16. And once you get there, then you're talking about teams that have had this type of season, not only just this year, but probably for the last 2 or 3 years.
No.
And
you mentioned Montclair that they lost to recently.
And we saw that happen with York and Christopher Newport last year. They got to the Sweet 16 and then got handled pretty well by some teams that this is if they don't make it to the Sweet 16, they've had a devastating season. So
Do we have any Mount Unions in women's basketball in D3?
yes, yes, there are. Believe it or not.
And who would they be?
That'd be more like your Washburns, your Washington College out in Missouri.
Right. Yeah.
They are just teams that they're always there, and you just wonder where they come from and how they can continually be so good.
Yeah, because we haven't had that. Our last webcast for basketball was December the 6th. We talked about Mount Union, I think,
Yes,
a little bit.
We did.
And how they handled everybody but Whitewater. And sure enough, it proved to be the same way in the Division III football championship game in Salem. Foul shot missed. Rebound Conger. Knights down by 23.
Well, there is some silver lining for the Knights after that turnover. The Seagulls haven't got to the 1-and-1 yet, and we've noticed that in earlier games they were shooting two with about 10, 12 minutes left to go in the halves. So it's a better defensive game as far as not fouling as much.
And Salisbury here with only about a minute and 41 to go until halftime, really digging deep into their bench now with a lot of new faces out there, including a freshman point guard, Mary McDonough. And she's got the ball right now. Guarded by Arkansas. Knights trying to play some good defense here. With the shot clock down to 5 and a kick by Afatazi.
And that just kills you there. You play defense for so long, and then 5 seconds on the shot clock, and you kick the ball. It gives them 15 more seconds to run their stuff.
Rothfeld with the shot clock down to 7. Over to McDonough. Pass inside, knocked away. And
a foul on the 1 second
foul with
left.
1 second left. It'll be Afatazi picking that one up. So it's great defense by the Knights.
And what makes it hurt even more is that Orston was behind the backboard. There was no way she could even get a shot up on that. So again, some freshman mistakes by the Knights.
First foul shot is good with 60 seconds to go until halftime. When you got that kind of energy going from Gamby and Afatazi and Conger, I guess that's what's going to happen. Even though you got to be cognizant of the shot clock and how much time it left.
Again, that's learning how to play the game, and as they get older and play more, they'll learn that.
25-point lead, and Salisbury almost knocks the ball away and gets a steal as Ariston is able to knock the ball out of bounds with 55 seconds left till halftime.
And you notice some of the differences between the Knights and the Seagulls is that the Seagulls don't make long passes. Their passes are about 15 feet away, and then they don't directly look at where they're going to pass the ball. They look them off and then make the pass.
And they've got, that's just court sense right there. And obviously a lot of seniors on this year's team for Salisbury, a lot of knowledge of how the other teammates play, as Gamby was able to score inside for the Knights.
Yeah, there's an old saying, the best thing about freshmen is they become sophomores.
And then juniors.
Once you get juniors and seniors, you're really happy.
Rothfeld with a nice pass. Shot up, no good. Rebound, Knights. It's Kuroki. Knights can get it down the 20 with a three-pointer. They've got 13 seconds to work with. Conger, left corner, they got to hurry. Now we're down to 8 seconds. Kuroki to Gamby, back to Kuroki, tipped out of bounds with 2 seconds to go. Knights will have a chance to throw it in bounds and then fire up, hopefully, because they've got less than 2 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, they're going to have to take the first thing that touches the ball. They're going to have to catch it and shoot.
Knights going to run that play out of bounds, and it's going to be stolen away by Salisbury, knocked out of bounds. So the Knights still have it with 1.2 on the clock.
Well, this is a better angle for the Knights to throw it in from out of bounds, or underneath the basket instead of over in the corner.
Afatazi triggering the inbounds. Arkansas with a 3. Oh, rims out. Well, the Knights are down by 23 here at halftime, Mike.
Yeah, and again, the way they started out was just something that we would hoping that could be prolonged throughout the rest of the game. But again, the Seagulls are very, very heavy veteran team, and they knew not to panic. And then we see what happens when you start making mistakes with them.
It was a 42-12 run for Salisbury after they trailed early 14-7.
Yeah, and again, a lot of it had to do with the turnovers and the easy layups that the Seagulls were getting, and then the Knights starting to make telegraph passes, which led to those turnovers and easy layups.
So again, your halftime score here, it is Salisbury 49 and Southern Virginia 26. We're going to take a little break. We're going to hopefully have a halftime interview coming up, and we'll also check those halftime numbers, the halftime stats, with the Knights trailing here at halftime 49-26. Jim Bresnahan, Mike Harmon, we are back with you here at the Knight Sports Arena. Halftime score once again, it is Salisbury 49 and Southern Virginia 26. Mike, we've got the first half numbers. Obviously, the turnovers really standing out here for Southern Virginia, 17 first half turnovers.
Yeah, and at least half those turnovers led to fast break layups. And that's just something against a great team like Salisbury is you cannot do. The other number that jumps out is the 9 offensive rebounds that Seagulls have had, and that's just not the Knights not finishing off the defensive play.
Yeah, the Knights were out rebounded 23-16 in that first half. Only 6 first half turnovers, though, for Salisbury.
Yeah, and again, you got Hackett in sight. And those two young ladies are not going to turn the ball over.
They were 10 for 20 in the first half, combined for 24 points.
Yeah, they almost outscored the Knights as a complete team. The Knights were 11 of 25. And with those two out on the floor, the Seagulls are just, they're a great team. And you got to limit your mistakes against great teams, and that's just something that Knights haven't been able to do today.
Knights were led in that first half by Melinda Bourne. She had 12 points. She was 6 of 9 from the floor. You take her out of the equation, and the Knights were 5 for 16 shooting the basketball.
Yeah, and again, you know, in those first 5-6 minutes of the game, the Knights were just letting the game come to them and not really trying to force action, making great passes around the perimeter and then looking to attack. And then all of a sudden when the Seagulls started coming back, they started to felt that pressure. They started trying to do things out of character or things that they really haven't been able to do all season long. They tried to force the issue and the action, and we see what happens then.
And you get a lot of players for the Knights, especially when Salisbury was going off on that scoring streak, maybe just trying to do a little bit too much. And Missy Belliston obviously comes to mind. She had 5 first half turnovers.
Yeah, and again, that's freshman mistakes.
Right.
And you have to live with that because, like I said, the best thing about freshmen are they become sophomores. And once you have to get in and learn how to play the game, then they'll become a whole lot better. But the only way you can do that is by playing teams such as Salisbury.
So the Knights are, again, down here at halftime, Mike, 49-26. What will they be doing in the second half?
You got to break the second half up into 4-minute segments, 5 4-minute segments, and try to win each 4-minute segment. There's no such thing as a 23-point shot, obviously. So you just try to win each segment of the game, and if you can get the game back to within 15 in the first 10 minutes, then you've done a great job, and things can happen for you later on.
And what does that mean as far as the segments? In addition to winning each 4-minute segment, how about some of the keys, like obviously reducing turnovers?
Reduce the turnovers. Don't allow all the fast breaks. Defensive rebounding is going to be a huge key for them. And letting the game come to them and not trying to force that one pass and then let's try to force it inside. Pass fakes would be a wonderful thing right now.
Salisbury was just 1 of 9 shooting 3-pointers, but as you mentioned, they also had 9 offensive rebounds, so they were able to get some of their misses.
Yeah, and you think that's probably one of the things that they talked about at halftime is maybe we don't want to take so many 3-pointers, but then you can't argue with the success they had on the offensive rebound. Talking about trusting your teammates. Hey, if I shoot it, I know 4 of my teammates are going to go try to get the rebound for me.
And I would imagine the Salisbury folks will say, hey, you know, this is a good team. We got to get better in a lot of areas to maybe advance deep eventually into the tournament, and I would imagine outside shooting would be one of those areas.
Outside shooting is definitely one of them because once you get teams that are even with you athletically, and they pack it in and don't let you drive and don't give up the turnovers, then you're going to have to do something to stretch the defense out a little bit.
Plus, you wonder how this team might play if they ever got into a crucial game of the tournament, and maybe perhaps Sipe or maybe Hackett got into foul trouble.
Yeah, that's something that you saw Coach Lewandowski trying to do in the last part of that first half was get more players playing time so they can have that backup.
Not to mention, of course, we talked about this at the very beginning, Micah. There's a lot of seniors on this year's team. What kind of team will Salisbury have next year? Not that the coaches are looking ahead to their next year already.
It's going to be a very different team next year with Sipe and Hackett gone. You can look at York College for an example.
Right.
Yeah. You know, they're 1-8 right now, and last year they were the cream of the crop.
It's hard to believe, isn't it? But that's what happens, I guess, when you lose so many good players. As Sipe misses a three and Belliston grabs the rebound. See if the Knights can score the first basket here of the second half, trailing by 23. We played over a minute. No score in the second half. Boren, double team, fights off the double team, misses the shot inside.
And it stays.
Yep, still Knights basketball.
Again, that was a great job of Ann Kuroki down in there fighting for the rebound and just tipping it off for the Salisbury player.
Nice pass by Kuroki to a wide open Boren. Boy, how did she get so wide open?
Again, Melinda's having a great game, and that break that they had really does them a lot of good because they get so burnt out physically and mentally with exams and projects being due that now we're going to be able to see them at a well-rested state.
Yeah, Boren's got 14 now. Is another three-point miss by Salisbury, and the Knights have the ball down by 21.
Again, the Knights are back in that zone, causing the Seagulls to take those open shots. Again, defensive rebounding is the key.
Belliston goes left side to Kuroki. Now into Crystal Cleveland.
They need
They
to
were
reverse.
really backing her way in. And we've got a
Offensive
foul on Crystal, looks like. So Crystal had a tough first half, just 4 points and 3 rebounds.
And you don't really need to go right back at her. They should have took the ball away from her, swung it back really fast, and Crystal would have had that position without having to fight for it.
21-point lead for Salisbury. And Hackett is called for a walk. Rare turnover for her.
And you saw a little smile on her face knowing, yeah, you got me there. And
Just her second turnover.
But again,
and I don't think Sipe had any turnovers in the first half. Cleveland with a shot, and she scores, and a chance at a three-point play. That is really something, Mike, when you've got seniors like Hackett and Sipe, and in the first half they had one turnover between them.
Yeah, again, the ball doesn't come out of their hands that much, so they're not going to turn the ball over as a team and going to get a lot of shots.
4-0 run by the Knights to start the second half. And Crystal hits the foul shot, 5-0 run. Knights suddenly only down by 18.
And again, these 4-minute segments are trying to win.
And almost a steal by Afatazi. Sipe gets it ahead to Hackett. Knights have the bodies back defensively. Crystal Cleveland doing a good job to get back defensively. You know, Heather Roberts doesn't mind throwing up the pressure, hoping for a turnover, Mike, as long as you don't get burned when they lay up the other way.
Yeah, that's been the MO.
Three-pointer, no good again by Salisbury. Now 1 of 10 from three-point range. Auburn Haas looks like she got away for a walk after getting an offensive rebound. And now here come the Knights, down by 18 with the ball. Kuroki to Belliston. She'll fire a three, and it's no good. Boy, that would have been a big make by Belliston if she could have hit that one to knock the lead down to 15.
And that's a...
Sipe's going to fire a three and miss. Rebound to Salisbury, and the shot is good off the rebound by Mosniak.
You know, but there's a blueprint here for other teams that are going to get this film on Salisbury is that they're not really great against a zone team.
And as you saw there, Salisbury, and Sipe especially, she's got a strange shot.
She turns
to say the least.
a lot to the side to shoot the ball, but you know, most of her shots are not from the outside. She likes to try to get those layups.
Afatazi, I think, was fouled, and she'll go to the foul line to shoot two. Knights only had a few trips to the line in the first half, 3 out of 5 from the charity stripe in the first half.
And for a team that has Crystal and Melinda, that's not good enough. They should be going to the free throw line much, much more.
Afatazi hits the first one. as Boren checks in and Cleveland checks out. $19-point lead, now 18 as Afatazi hits both foul shots. Backcourt pressure with Hartvigsen, the deep defensive threat. Trying to hold off the layup by Sipe, and Sipe, a running shot, no good. Rebound by Salisbury, and they've got 2 more foul shots coming up here on the foul by the Knights.
And that's something that Salisbury does really well is not the first person going in for the layup, but it's the one following them to get the offensive rebound. And that's what the Knights have to do better when they do this pressure. 1, not give up the layup, which Morgan didn't do. And 2, make sure that everybody gets back to get the rebound if there is one.
And Mosniak missed the first foul shot. One more coming. And rims out. Knights have a 18-point deficit to work with. They've got the ball. Nice pass by Belliston ahead to Kuroki. She goes baseline. It's shut off by Rothfeld. Passes over to Hartvigsen. Loose ball picked up by Afatazi. Spins, tries to shoot, misses. Got her own rebound, puts it up, no good. And the ball knocked out of bounds. Last touched.
Stay the Knights.
Going to be the Knights basketball. Crystal going to check back in for Afatazi. Devani got a couple of good opportunities underneath the basket along the baseline, maybe a little too deep in to really have a good look at the basket.
And I'd like to see the ball in Ann's hands a little bit more. She's a good passer. She doesn't stare the things down. She's a senior. She's been in this position a lot over her career, knowing how to play against good teams.
Kuroki passing down low to Boren. Shot no good. And ball's knocked around, picked up by Kuroki. Outside to Hartvigsen. She's open for a 3 and hits. Suddenly, Mike, the lead's down to 15 after being 23 at halftime. So to start the game, the Knights were ahead by 7, and here in the second half, they're ahead by 8. As McLaughlin's shot is blocked from behind. So to start this second half, it's a 10-2 run by the Knights. They had a 14-7 run to begin, 10-2 here in the second half. Well, you just like those runs, huh?
Yeah, the basketball is a game of momentum, and you want to try to keep that momentum on your side as long as possible. Not great rotation on the defense on that time for the Knights.
Hackett was able to hit the 3 to push the lead back to 18. Now Boren had her shot, no good. Rebound, Salisbury. Fast break, Sipe to Hackett, back to Sipe. Easy layup, 20-point lead for Salisbury.
And Hackett again, Sipe able to get the rebound and bring the ball all the way down before the Knights are able to get back on defense is just unacceptable.
Here's Boren. Wild drive, no good. Sipe got the rebound ahead to Hackett. Easy layup, and Hackett misses the shot, rimmed out. Hackett got her own rebound and puts it up and in.
Again, that's just being a little bit more physical with going for the ball and a little bit more experience. Missy, as she gets more experience, will understand that she just can't leave that ball out there in the open.
Yeah, Hackett is now 5'4", as we mentioned, but she's pretty compact, and she looks pretty strong, too.
Yeah, she's a strong player.
Boren hits from the foul line. 20-point ball game again now, 58-38. Played 6 minutes so far here in the second half. Knights down by 20, now down by 22 as McLaughlin scores.
And in a zone, you got to try to talk more, because you are playing a zone and you don't know where everybody's at.
Boren shot no good. Crystal battling for the rebound. And it looks like a foul is going to be called on Crystal. She just had a real tough day today.
Yeah, and again, some of it is having to do again with the rust and not being able to play for a month. Some of it is her teammates trying to force the ball into her on that first pass instead of going away and coming back, and she's feeling a little bit of pressure, I think, of trying to post up a little bit too much.
Knights down by 22. They'd cut the lead to 15. And Sipe misses a three-point shot. Another offensive rebound, though. This time Hobbs has it. Hackett back to Sipe. Fires another jumper, and it is able to go in that time.
And Sipe, that little in-between jump shot, that's her shot. The three-point shot, sometimes she'll hit it and all, but that little in-between shot is hers.
And there's McLaughlin fouling Cleveland. So as soon as the Knights get within 15 at 51-36, Salisbury, sure enough, goes on another little run of 11-2.
Yeah, and that's just the again the experience factor. You didn't see any panic in their eyes. They knew that they were going to get going. So it's one of those issues of we're trying to make sure that we don't let them get on those runs as we go through the rest of this game.
Crystal's first foul shot is good.
Well, the good news is Crystal's 2 for 2 now from the free throw line.
Yeah, at halftime they didn't have her foul shot down, but she did make one in the first half. And rims out that one.
Oh, and I cursed her. Every time a commentator talked about someone shooting free throws.
Does that work as a coach, too? Hey, you know, Crystal's 2 for 2, and then
yeah.
Did it work like that when you were a coach?
No.
Or only as a commentator?
Only as a commentator.
Okay. So as a coach, you wouldn't have shouted out, hey, Crystal, you're 2 for 2.
Oh, no. Not at all. That was the furthest thing from my mind. It was who's going to box out? Do we need to get someone else into the next
right.
play?
There wasn't the old, what was the Gene Hackman line? Crystal, when you make this, and you will make this.
Yeah, yeah. As a coach, you just believe they're going to make it. It's a free throw. They've shot a lot of them in their life.
Hackett with a sparkling move, but she can't get the shot to go, but did draw the contact, and Hackett will go to the foul line to shoot 2.
And maybe we can talk about Hackett shooting some free throws and see if.
There you go.
See if
Give it a shot.
Let's see.
She has amazing body control, by the way.
Oh, she's just a fantastic athlete.
And she missed.
And she's an 87% free throw shooter. So it's a good thing we don't. Well, we won't go there, but it's just the commentator's curse.
It works only.
Yeah, but you know she's 87%. She misses one. That's a great thing. Of course, if you try to do that as a coach on the other team, they make everything.
That's true.
Even the players that shoot 20% from the free throw line will make 8 in a row.
There's Hackett with a steal, and Gambee was able to get back and grab the loose ball. We talked about it last month. We were doing all those games in November and December. Jamila, one of the better athletes, maybe the best athlete on this night's ball club. Certainly maybe the best as far as stamina is concerned.
Oh, yeah, she's got a motor that'll run. But she's got to learn how to control that motor now.
24-point lead for Salisbury, 63-39. It was 49-26 at halftime. Knights have battled them in the second half. Outscored 14-13. Missy Belliston, cross-court pass, picked off as the shot clock expired.
And none of the Knights got back.
And an easy layup for Hackett. So you had basically almost a shot clock violation, which would have been better for the Knights, actually.
Would have been better, but Seagulls had the ball in their hand.
You also had Belliston doing a cross-court pass with probably 2 seconds on the shot clock.
And there we got the Knights starting to attack the basket. And that's something they need to do more often. And that'll free up some other passing lanes.
And that makes it 65-41, 24-point lead right now for the Seagulls. Hackett's open for a 3 and hits. She's, without question, their best outside shooter.
Oh, she is.
And maybe their only three-point threat. Sipe doesn't look like she can fire from outside.
No, the other ones will shoot it. And there's another long 2 for Melinda Boring.
I believe she's got 16 now for the game. 68-43, 25-point ball game. Knights would love to keep this within, 23, Mike. But there's Hackett hitting another 3. I was thinking if they could, ended up losing this one by 23, that means they played them even in the second half. But just when they were able to get on a run, Hackett starts hitting three-pointers, and now suddenly it's a 28-point lead.
And they've kind of figured out where to put their best three-point shooter against that zone. And if you watch them, if the Knights stay in the zone, they'll take the ball away from their three-point shooter, and then they'll reverse it back to her. And the closeouts are just too long. Conversely, the Knights go to one side, and the ball stays on that side. Seems like forever.
And right now they've got it on the right side with Gambee. Over to Melinda Boren. Biggest offensive threat today, but she had her shot blocked by McLaughlin. Over to Albornoz. Look at her run the break. Now inside is Richmond, and she misses inside, and Cleveland grabs the loose ball, and the Knights have it again, down by 28. And Kuroki with it. She's been kind of silent today offensively. And cuts across the middle and hits.
And that's what Ann should be doing more and more often. Is that little shot fake, getting the ball to the middle of the floor where she can draw and kick or finish off with that little jump shot.
That may well be her first points today. Her first basket today.
I believe you're right, Jim.
Sipe, long shot, outside, no good. Missed another one.
And there's a nice with a fast break. Gave the Salisbury Seagulls a little bit of their own medicine there as Sipe didn't get back after taking the shot.
And so the Knights are within 24 now at 71-47. A little 4-0 run by the Knights. Nice pump fake there. The shot is no good by Aristran. Looks like she was able to draw some contact inside, hits the floor, and will go to the foul line to shoot two. Block on Boren, I believe, was the call. And the first foul shot is up and good. (72-47) now, 25-point lead.
And it looks like the Knights will be going into some type of pressure, and you know you don't have Hackett out there, so maybe you can get something going your way.
Second foul shot, good again by Aristran. Knights down by 26, 9:15 to go. Those first 10 minutes of the second half, they played pretty well. Mike only down by 3. When you look at the second half scoring, 26 though for the game. Pass is thrown out of bounds, last touch by Salisbury, so it is still Knights basketball. Knights will be playing on the road the next 2 ball games at Penn State, Harrisburg, coming up on Wednesday. Next Saturday on the road at St. Mary's as Sipe gets another easy layup. And then the next home game will be January the 14th against Mary Washington for the Knights.
Yeah, that'll be another tough game as Mary Washington's 3-0 in the conference right now also.
Stolen away, and Gamby kind of gave that to her, but then was able to tie up the player from Salisbury to basically get it on the jump ball possession arrow.
Yeah, the next game against Penn State Harrisburg, they are 2-1 in the conference right now. And again, going up there, that's a long trip. And the good news is, though, they play in a gym that's kind of like this. It's closed in and compact, so the Knights shouldn't have any problems with feeling out of place.
Knights already this season have played Christopher Newport and Marymount on the road. Those were those games back in late November and December, where the Knights lost back-to-back games. And, of course, at that last ball game for the Knights, December the 6th, they played Wesley and only lost that game by 1 point.
Yeah, and that was a shame as they really battled back after giving up what we thought was about 20 points off of wide-open layups.
Foul shot is up and no good. Lead 28 right now for Salisbury. And
you notice anytime there's a stop in the action, Salisbury is shuffling people in and out, try to keep them as fresh as possible.
Fatazi able to hit that other foul shot to make it a 27-point ball game. Backcourt pressure by the Knights. And there's Sipe getting it across the 10-second line. Almost had a walk, but was able to get rid of the ball before she traveled with it. Sipe goes right around Belliston, got the angle on her, but Belliston was able to avoid committing a foul.
And I think Boren got the ball.
Yep.
Got the block on that as she was brought right into Sipe.
And Kuroki's pass almost picked off, but the ball's on the floor. And a timeout is taken by the Knights to save the basketball. So Southern Virginia down here 75-48. They were down 23 at halftime, now down by 27 here in the second half with 8:07 to go.
Well, like you said, they started out the first 4 minutes, completely won those first 4 minutes. And then after that, it looked like the Seagulls started going on those 11-2 runs and further that we saw.
Yeah, the Seagulls have just outrun the Knights. The Knights had really two good runs. They got off to a 14-7 lead, and then down by 23 at halftime, they were able to work it down to 51-36. And again, in both cases, Salisbury responded.
And it seems like the Salisbury sometimes, at least in this case, it looks like they get a little disinterested in doing some things and let have some mental lapses, which can come back and really haunt them as they play other teams, such as they have to play Mary Washington twice. They have to play. In
addition to the tough games they're going to be running into, the tougher teams maybe in the Capital Conference, both that and also when you look ahead to the national tournament, provided they get that far, obviously. How far can Salisbury go without really some good three-point shooting?
With the defense they can run, and it looks like they're able to get up and down the floor. Anybody can bring the ball down the floor on a fast break. You know, the Sweet 16 should be where they end up at. Now, once you get to that point, you're going to need some outside shooting to really extend and open up some driving lanes.
And you can't just go with the old philosophy, we'll miss the three-point shot and grab a rebound.
No, you have to hit some three-point shots. And like I said, there's a lot of teams that are going to be getting this film and see that the Seagulls can't shoot the three-point shot
of course,
as well as they do.
You mentioned, a simple look at the stat sheet will tell you that, right?
Yeah, that is. And they'll see that, so a lot of teams might be putting some zone in for the next month or two.
Kuroki's three-pointer pulls the Knights within 25, 75-50. Back the other way, Salisbury misses. But they grab the own rebound. Crystal Cleveland off to the Salisbury miss with the rebound. And here come the Knights down by 25.
Again, in the next 2.5 minutes, if they can get it down under 20, that would be a great move for the Knights.
Kuroki's got 5 in the second half. And as you mentioned, Mike, you'd love to see her shoot a little bit more.
I would. At least have to get the ball in her hands more, because she can not only create a shot for herself, but she creates so many opportunities for other players.
And she's got it right now. Dribbles down the lane, over to Hartvigsen, open for a long three, missed it. Hit the floor, no foul call. Afatazi trying to save it, out of bounds. It's Seagulls basketball with 7:03 to go.
Again, and we just had her here, and she took last year off. And was back out in her home state of Nebraska. But when she was here before, she's such a great ball handler and just knows the game and can create so many openings for other players, as she did there, driving to the middle of the floor, brought Morgan's man to her and was able to give Morgan an opportunity for a wide-open three.
Yeah, they're working it down low. Salisbury had a chance at a three-pointer or an easy layup, but instead the player for Salisbury, Bryce, declines to shoot the layup and turns around and fires it past to no one there, maybe the coach.
She saw a maroon jersey out of the corner of her eye, and it was somebody on the bench. Yeah. And that happens more often than you know. We used to have black jerseys, and we were in a national tournament game, and my point guard turned and threw the ball over to the referee because she just saw black out of the corner of her eye.
Wow. Of course, I guess the most famous for that would be the Georgetown, North Carolina ball game. Fred Brown, 1982, I think.
Threw it straight to James Worthy.
Yeah. 25-point lead here for Salisbury with 6:37 to go.
And now you got both Sipe and Hackett out of the game. Now, this is where the Knights should start to make up some points.
Well, let's see now. The Knights down by 25. See how they do in the final 6 minutes and 35 seconds. Rothfeld handling the ball, gets it across the timeline and slows it down. Looks like Salisbury wants to run a little clock here each time down, Mike.
Yeah, and there's things everybody needs to work on. This is one of them. You got a 30-second shot clock, but you still have to learn how to let the air out of the ball a little bit as you get further and further into the season.
Arkansas passing inside to Bourne, but she can't hit. And only one shot that time for the Knights. At halftime, they only had 2 offensive rebounds, Southern Virginia.
Yeah, a great job of not only the Seagulls boxing out, but it looks like there's only one or two players for the Knights that actually go in to try to offensive rebound.
And maybe that's because they're afraid of giving up the fast break.
Well, that's one of them, but again, you have to have a set amount of people that are going to go offensive rebound, and they have to go do that every time. It's not a sometimes thing; it's a all the time thing.
And if I guess you either have to commit to going for the offensive rebound or commit to being back defensively. Can't kind of in between.
No, it's one way. And if you get caught in between, then we see what happens all the time there. The layups happen on the other end, and you've got to understand your defensive philosophy and then execute it well.
75-50, 25-point lead right now for Salisbury. Knights trail by 23 at halftime. Gamby put it on the floor and is tied up by Hobbs. Well, you got to be very careful when you put it onto the floor in the paint right underneath the basket.
And there was no reason for Jamila to really dribble the ball there. She should, with the athletic ability she has and the jumping ability she has, she could have gone straight up there right in front of the.
Rothfeld fouled. Let's see if Gamby picks this one up. Yep, she will. Rothfeld looks like she can handle the ball pretty well. Maybe not as good as Cypher Hackett, but not bad.
Not bad at all. And again, we hadn't seen a lot of turnovers.
Salisbury gets through that Southern Virginia defense, gets it ahead to Hobbs, and an easy layup the other way for Noonan. Freshman forward.
The Knights commit way too many people in the front court and leave the basket unattended.
Boren fires and hits. I'm not sure, 18 perhaps for Melinda. She's got to be up around 20 for the ball game.
Yeah, and this
Rothfeld is fouled. And looks like Gamby will pick that one up again.
Again, this is the little lessons that Jamila will have to learn. If she wants to stay out on the floor a whole lot longer, which every player wants to be out on the floor, she can't commit these little silly fouls 94 feet away and then 50 feet away from the basket.
Especially when you send the other team to the one-on-one.
Yeah, and again, the Knights have done a better job this game of keeping out of the one-on-one and the bonus situation, the two shots. So little baby steps, right, Jim?
Rothfeld made the first one. I remember the game back in November. Was it the Averett game? We had a lot of fouls.
A lot of fouls called.
Knights down by 27 here. Conger lost it, picked up by Rothfeld. Gamby, or Afatazi almost got it back. On the floor. Afatazi's got it right behind her back.
She couldn't find it because she was hooked up with Noonan there, had her arms interlocked.
Knights down by 27 here with 4:39 to go.
And again, the Knights should really be concentrating on, can we get the ball into the paint, get a good shot. Nice pass. Great pass into Crystal
25. Well, Mike, coming up these two road games, Penn State, Harrisburg, and also, as we mentioned, St. Mary's for the Knights next week on Wednesday and next Saturday. What's the outlook there, and how tough is it? It's been tough for, obviously, the Knights to win on the road in the Capital Conference.
And it's very tough to win anytime. And the good news is, Penn State, Harrisburg, they're a very even team athletically and physically with the Knights.
And the next Saturday, St. Mary's facing a St. Mary's team that has really struggled.
St. Mary's team is struggling because, again, they had a lot of seniors that graduated. Yep. Their best three players graduated, and so the Knights should have a great opportunity at that time also to get a road win. And anytime you get road wins in the Capital Conference, you are doing great.
Yeah, and I would imagine that's just got to, any win obviously will do that, but I would imagine a road win would really help to build the Knights' confidence.
Oh, and the trip back would just be phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
You go to St. Mary's, you go to Penn State, Harrisburg, you're looking at 4 hours, 5 hours away. And if you can bring back a win with you, not only does that build your confidence on, hey, we can win on the road, but what is that going to do as far as the rest of the season goes? And hey, we got our Capital Athletic win. Can that catapult us to get towards that top in the top six? Because the top six go to the playoffs. And right now you got a 1, 2, 3. you got a 4-way tie for last place. So if they can get a couple wins, Penn State Harrisburg, win against St. Mary's, maybe a Frostburg, and then hold home court, that can catapult them towards that 6th spot and getting into the Capital Athletic Conference tournament. That's what the whole season's about anyway. It doesn't matter how you get there, just as long as you get there.
Now the top 4 teams going in for women's action, as mentioned, Salisbury, then Marymount, Mary Washington, Christopher Newport. The Knights have already seen, Christopher Newport. They get Mary Washington next week. They saw Marymount back in December. And, of course, Salisbury today. And how do those other teams stack up, you think, against Salisbury? We'll see Mary Washington, of course, next on the 14th of January.
Well, Christopher Newport's already lost to them. Mary Washington is a really good team. I just don't know if they have the leadership that Salisbury has as far as Hackett and Sipe go.
And the Knights lost to Newport, I believe, by 41, and also lost to Marymount by 25, as the Knights cut this lead now down to 21 points, 79-58.
And this is what they want to do. They want to try to just slowly keep on chipping away, especially with Hackett and Sipe out. I don't know if we'll see those two back for the rest of the game.
Now the Knights actually winning the second half, 32-30.
And that's, again, these are the things that Coach Roberts, I'm sure, is telling her girls, hey, look, we're getting better in these situations. Now we just got to put the whole games together. Definitely out of the teams that are 0-3, I think that the Knights can win not only the home games against them, but the away games. And then we know that, if they didn't give up so many layups against Wesley, that would have been a win too. So we're looking at maybe stealing a win on the road there, and that would definitely put them in the top 6.
Knights hoping for some more turnovers here in the final 4 minutes, trailing by 21. Trying to get this lead down a little closer. And there's a steal. Crystal Cleveland's got it. And she's fouled. Fouled by Grubb. Non-shooting foul. 16 foul on Salisbury.
And again, now you're seeing some of the more experienced players in there for Salisbury, except for Hackett and Sipe. And this is how they're going to be next year without these two.
Are you surprised they haven't brought the Hackett or Sipe? You think they're done for the day?
I think they're done for the day. Coach Lindkowski, she's a win's a win. Don't get them hurt.
And as you mentioned, sooner or later, you got to start thinking about maybe next year.
Yeah.
Playing without them, they're both seniors.
And this is something that the Knights can file away in their memory banks of, hey, you know what? We know what they got, and next year, oh my gosh, here we come.
Belliston missed the jumper. And it's a 21-point lead right now for Salisbury. And Belliston's really had a tough day offensively, trying to get going too.
And again, we're hoping that, that's a little bit of the rust of not playing in a game for a month. You can go home and shoot as much as you want at your backyard or anything, but until you have these big girls out here running at you.
Well, explain that a little bit, the difference between practicing and play action, I guess.
Oh, play action. The adrenaline's going. You have people that are as competitive as you are or more that come in and try to make it to where you don't score. So there's a lot of different emotions that go on also in actually playing the game.
Kuroki could hit the three-pointer. And Salisbury's got the rebound. And another fast break for the Seagulls. And a steal by Belliston. Stole it away from Bryce. Doesn't have the numbers, so smartly pulls it up.
And again,
Belliston couldn't hit the three, but Cleveland was able to grab the rebound momentarily, then had it ripped away by Rothfeld. Rothfeld's triple teamed, and they're going to call jump ball positioner, which I don't think is going to please the Salisbury coaches.
No, but again, you ask what Salisbury's going to be like without Sipe and Hackett, and we're seeing right now what's going to happen. And again, the Knights can start putting these things in their memory banks of, okay, so this is what happened here. If we can eliminate some of these turnovers, some of these layups, and finish off the defensive possession by rebounding, we can hang with this team. And then the next year, without those two, it's going to be a totally different game.
Yeah, I don't know who their ball handler might be. Obviously, I'm not sure what kind of freshman we could be seeing next year for Salisbury. Just going down the roster at first glance, you would think Rothfeld might be doing a lot of the ball handling, but then again, she's 5'9", a little big for a point guard.
Well, if you can have a 5'9" point guard, that is a great thing.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to see over the top and make great passes. But again, York had such a great year last year, and now we're seeing that they're having to rebuild a lot.
Kuroki couldn't hit, and Afatazi couldn't control the rebound. And now Salisbury brings it up court with a 21-point lead with 1:38 to go. Knights, again, jumping out to a 14-7 lead in this basketball game. Got it down to 51-36 in the second half. And now down by 21.
Well, the start of both halves are probably the best basketball we've seen the Knights play all season long. If they can just start to extend those bouts and those momentum swings and those runs, as you say, for the whole game, it'll be.
Maybe the key is just avoiding those, 20-4 runs the other way, where you just have turnover, layup, turnover, layup, turnover, layup.
That would be a great way to start.
Yeah. B will check in for Kuroki.
Now, the last thing the Knights want to do is foul somebody with 2 seconds on the shot clock. Just play straight up defense.
Let's see what Salisbury does here. Rothfeld inbounding. Shot clock violation. Little mistake there by Salisbury. Richardson looked like she had a chance maybe to catch and fire and did not.
Yeah, and that's either not a recognition of the shot clock or just not willing to put the ball up outside of range.
Of course, with 2 on the shot clock and you catch the ball, it doesn't matter where you are, just fire.
Yeah.
And hope you hit something.
You don't have time to make a pass.
Hit something metallic. 81-58 is your score right now. 23-point lead. It was 23 at halftime.
Well, probably the problem that I see with the Knights offensively, again, we talked about one pass trying to throwing it into the post and staring that down. The other problem is they don't really reverse the ball. Everything stays on one side of the floor, and they try to attack from that one side, and that just makes you play 3 against 5. The defense doesn't have to move.
Down to 32 seconds left. Conger will fire a 3 and hits to make it 81-60. But an easy fast break layup attempt and good for Orishchan to make it 83-60. Might still have a shot here with a basket, Mike, to maybe actually score more points in the second half than Salisbury.
And again, those are battles that you want to try to win.
Pass down low, almost stolen away. Conger's got it. Now Gamby with just 3 seconds to go, and she fires and misses. And it is going to be an 83-61 final. So Salisbury improves to 10-1 of the season, and they are now 4-0 in the conference. The Knights dropped to 0-4 in the conference, Mike, and 2-8 on the season now.
Yeah, but again, like we talked about, the first half of both halves were probably some of the best basketball we've seen the Knights playing. If they can sustain that for more than 5-10 minutes, they'll see the score starting to get back into their favor.
So what impressed you the most, especially in the second half for the Knights?
Well, they didn't quit. They kept on playing as hard as they could. They kept on trying to work their zone. They looked like they rebounded a little bit better. Didn't give as many offensive rebounds as we did in the first half. And then, they, again, tried to attack a little bit more off the bounce and bring people to them and create shots for the other team.
Have to check out the final stats, but, of course, at halftime, the Knights had 17 turnovers. It'd be interesting to see the final stats, see how many turnovers they may have in the second half.
Yeah, well, 17 turnovers are as many turnovers as you want for the game.
Right.
And you talked about Sipe and Hackett and how they only had about 2 turnovers for the whole game between them. That's what you really want, because when you can have those teams really control the game and not turn the ball over and give yourself those chances for shots, that's where you get the 20 and 30 point leads.
Well, Mike, you mentioned next up for the Knights, it'll be a couple of road games coming up. Penn State, Harrisburg on Wednesday, and then, of course, next Saturday, they play on the road at St. Mary's before returning here on January the 14th against Mary Washington.
Up at Harrisburg, they got a really good guard that will come off screens and really take a lot of shots. And then they have a post player that, again, is just very active. Not a lot of drop step skill, but very, very active. And if they keep her off the board and can control the guard coming off the screens, they can come back with a win there. And then they get to go to St. Mary's. That's St. Mary's is struggling too.
Oh, yeah.
And
0-8 coming into today, I think.
0-8, lost a lot off the team from last year. And last year when we played St. Mary's in York and Penn State Harrisburg and, Frostburg, when their seniors went out, when their upperclassmen went out, we won those minutes that they were out. So I'm looking for big things from the Knights in these next two games.
And when you look at the Knights scoring-wise, Melinda Bourne, tremendous ball game today. She had 18 or 20. We haven't seen the final numbers yet, but the Knights really struggled to find offense beyond Melinda.
Yeah, and again, a lot of it had to do with the turnovers. If they would take the ball and reverse it from one side of the floor to the other and then bring it back, their post players would be so much more open. And then finally at the end, we saw Ann Kuroki starting to take the ball and drive into the middle of the lane, either for a shot for herself or creating shots for our other teammates. And those are things that the Knights really need to concentrate on in order to score some points.
Okay, and Ann Kuroki, I know that's one you would love to see get more involved in the offense in January and February.
Yes, I would. And she has a repertoire. Maybe not the greatest three-point shooter that there is, but her mid-range game is just phenomenal.
Once again, a final score today here in game number 1, 83-61. Salisbury wins it over Southern Virginia. And I guess we're going to have Deidre Dryden come in for a quick interview here to give us her thoughts on this first ball game and also kind of give us a preview of the men's contest, as well as maybe talk about some other sports for the winter and the spring. And then, of course, again, we've got the men's game coming up here in just about 20-25 minutes or so. The men for Southern Virginia getting ready to take on, of course, Salisbury. And Deidre Dryden joins us. Deidre, hey, first and foremost, how was your holidays?
Oh, it was great. It was great. We spent a lot of time here at home. We usually travel to Georgia, but we stayed put and had a good time. Family.
Now, let's talk about that first ball game today. What were your thoughts? We were talking, me and Mike, about how the Knights had some good runs. They led 14-7 early against Salisbury. They actually trailed by 23 at halftime. Came out, played very well in the second half, got the lead down to 15.
Yeah, I thought they looked really well. Played really well. I thought they looked good. Their press was a little more controlled. They seemed to execute it at better times.
Yep.
And I think Heather's probably really pleased with how the girls are buying into the press and running it better. I still think they're going to be really disappointed in the turnover column. Like they're going to not like all those entry passes.
Yeah, we haven't seen the final numbers yet. It was 17 turnovers at halftime, so I would imagine they had fewer turnovers, still a few in the second half, but nowhere near like the first half.
Yeah, I think we shot the ball a little bit better. I can see them gelling together, especially some of those young freshmen they're played really well. It's a very good team they played against. I mean, Salisbury is, I believe, 20 in the nation. Am I right?
Yeah.
So, and very well
10-1 now on the season.
Very well coached, very deep. I know that there's going to be things that she is wishing they would have done better, but she has to be somewhat pleased, I think.
Now, we were talking about this too before we started this doubleheader today, is how tough it is for these athletes at Southern Virginia to basically have a 3 or 4 week layoff like that and come back after the holiday break and be ready to play.
It is really tough. They came back a week early. They've been practicing all week. I was just talking to the Salisbury coach earlier, and they have actually kind of a January mini mester. And so their players have a lot of time to come back and get ready. It's kind of I'm sure that the decision wasn't made for basketball, but it really works to their advantage because in January, their players often take like one class, and so they have some time to get back in the groove. So I think it's tough on our players, especially when our recruiting base is national. These kids are flying in and out; they're not driving back. So.
Totally different atmosphere here in the Knight Sports Arena too, without the students, the cheering section.
I miss them all. It's also one of the tough things about having a national roster rather than a local.
Yeah.
But you know, that's one of the things that comes with being in a conference. You play when those games are set, and such a great opportunity for us to be in the CAC, so we'll just have to deal with it.
Now, Dieter, real quick before we let you go, talk if you can about how the rest of the winter sports are looking, and not that far away from spring sports. A lot of spring sports will be starting in February.
Yes, in fact, my program will start practice the second week of January. I know lacrosse will as well. Wrestling has got some key wrestlers who are doing well. He's working hard to build that program. You know, it's our first year as an NCAA program rather than just a club program. So Logan's working hard to get that team ready to go.
Not that far away from baseball and softball.
No.
Of course, that's when you start to worry about the weather in February and March, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. Here it comes. So sometimes we'll have a really warm January, and then all of a sudden we get all that crazy cold weather. But it's an exciting time. I love it. I love the spring sports. I love that overlap. It's pretty tough administratively and for the training staff, but the excitement, you can just feel just so many kids involved, and that's exciting.
Then you kick back and take it easy in the summertime, right?
Yes, absolutely, except for all that. Well, we'll have a lot of camps and a little bit of polishing up on recruiting, but yes, it's a busy spring, and then we do get a little bit of downtime in the summer.
Now, how's your team looking for the spring, you think?
You know, we're really young, but pretty decently talented. It's not talent-wise, it's not the best team that I've had, but I actually look for this team to finish stronger than any team I've had. They're very coachable. They're very coachable.
Want to mention a few names?
Elizabeth Fuchs is a freshman that we have from California who's going to be playing #1 for us, and she's already really fundamentally sound tennis player, but she's also just so coachable, such a hard worker. We've got Kirsten Lawrence returning for us. She's a senior. Micah Roberts returning, looking for some good solid play from those girls. And then I have funnily enough, I have a player coming in January who, her mom was my teammate in college.
Wow.
We played at BYU Hawaii together, and she'll be here next week. She'll be playing for me. So that's fun.
Okay. And how's the schedule look?
It looks great. We have a good dose of ODAC schools mixed with our CAC conference play, and makes for a really nice tennis schedule. So,
Dieter, good luck this winter and spring.
All right,
thanks for stopping by, too.
All right, bye-bye.
Dieter Dryden once again. And again, I want to remind folks the score of our first ball game today in this doubleheader in women's action. It was Southern Virginia falling to Salisbury 83-61. Of course, in about 15 minutes or so, we will have game number 2, the men's contest. So stay with us for that. We're going to take a little break and get ready for the men's contest between the Seagulls of Salisbury and the Knights of Southern Virginia in about 15 or 20 minutes, so stay with us.